Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
New Trail Brewing Company proudly crafts their beers right here in central Pennsylvania. Brewed with only the best possible ingredients, New Trail produces a variety of year-round brands as well as weekly experimental recipes. New Trail Broken Heels is Pennsylvania's favorite local hazy IPA. This beer is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is perfect for a pregame tailgate all the way through the victory celebration.
What's the best mid-size pickup? Tacoma. What's the #1 mid-size truck in resale value? Tacoma. Want to get great gas mileage, 4 doors, and 4-wheel drive? Tacoma. Sioka Toyota of Williamsport has over 25 available right now. You can lease a brand new, never-driven Toyota Tacoma for just $379 a month. That's 30 months, $3,000 cash or trade, 10,000 miles a year. This is while supplies last. Buy yours or reserve yours today and see the Sioka difference. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show, coming to you live as always at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays here from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College, a great place to come eat delicious wings, drink delicious beers, and watch sports on many flat screens all about the premises. I am filling in for the Ironhead today, Chris Buchanani, joined by former Penn State offensive lineman Keith the Goon Conlon. Go Phillies.
Go Phillies.
All right, much as I would love to open with game 3.
Come on, what about yeah. The reason Ironhead's not here is because of that shellacking. He's been beaten off a radio show from the Eagles-Steelers game. He's embarrassed to come over.
I don't know about I don't know about anybody getting beaten off this show, but let's talk about the Nittany Lions. How you feeling?
What would you compare that game to? There's been a couple in the history.
Like every single game we played against Ohio State in the last 6 years?
No, it's not even 6. I mean, even back when I was coaching with Morelli, we were playing out there in Columbus. It was close all game. Oh,
God, don't remind me.
I think it might have actually been the –
You mean the 2-pick-6 game?
Yes. To end the game, and the game was completely out of like –
By the way, we got to get no more quarterbacks wearing 14. I'm not for Penn State officially retiring numbers.
You think we ruined it with?
Let's go back to the Travis Forney days. Let's give that to a kicker. Okay.
Wallace was 14. Who we got? We got Fusina was 14 or no? Was Blackledge?
Yes, Blackledge.
Schaefer.
And then it's kind of been
Wally had
a
it
downhill,
for me here.
Downhill.
When I was here, it was Wallace. And then Morelli when I was coaching here, right?
Yeah, Christian Hackenberg. And it just seems like the quarterbacks who, in my lifetime, the fan base has gotten on the most, going all the way back to John Schaefer, God bless him, national champion.
National champion who they wanted to replace. That's when you realize that Penn State fans are really, really fickle.
Sports fans
you were
are
too
fickle.
young to remember that.
Yeah, no. The Matt Kisner thing. I know all about
crazy.
it. But can we stop pretending that Penn State fans are the only fans who get irrational when their team loses or who want to make a change at the quarterback position?
It's just human nature.
Right. So let's not say Penn State fans. Let's say sports fans.
They don't say that who's
okay?
Penn State's favorite player is always the backup quarterback. No, it's sports in general.
Everybody's
Football in general, the favorite person on the team is the backup quarterback.
Okay, so let me ask you, moral victory formation or nah?
No.
Another fourth quarter collapse.
Just absolute more to sit there and say, what the hell? Where are we at right now? It's like we're spinning our wheels right now. It just seems like
I feel
you're taking
better.
a moral victory out of it.
I don't like using the term moral victory, but I feel better about where the program is after that game.
Okay.
Because I don't like losing, but I would sure as hell rather look like we belong playing the same sport as the top tier teams we're playing versus the Michigan game 3 weeks ago.
Yes, I have a theory on that.
Okay.
And that is that Michigan is built like an old school Big Ten
Yeah,
team.
100%.
Okay, they are built in Bo Schembechler's image that Jim Harbaugh played in, succeeded in, had success in, all that stuff. Okay, the reason we match up well with Ohio State and play them so well is because we are so similar.
To compete with them. Yep.
We are a similar team to them, and it hurts me and pains me to say it. We are a 7-on-7 team. And when a 7-on-7 team goes to play a big, strong, tough team like a Michigan, and then we're going to see it again, Michigan State's going to come out and do that. You know, that's how they play the game too. If there's anybody still eligible to play for Michigan State at that point, where I'm sure hopefully we can get into that conversation.
Yeah, we'll get there. We are
built. We are a 7-on-7 team, and it pains me and irks me and hurts me to say that. Because we have skilled players out the wazoo. We have 40-some, 50 players in the NFL right now. How many are really are linemen?
Okay, so there's two ways to accumulate talent in the Big Ten. You can build your team. You can build your team to beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
Or you can do what Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan have done to varying degrees because the talent level is different. But they look at all those other teams and they say, okay, great. If you're going to build your team to beat a spread option offense, and I understand but Ohio State doesn't really run the spread option anymore. But this is going back to the Urban Meyer days. We'll do the Bo model.
We'll figure it out.
But the problem is that lets you win intra-conference games at a higher rate. But then when you go outside the conference and you play a team like, especially in the postseason, like in the playoffs, you get a result like Michigan got.
I mean, I'm not going to go down the same road I always go down when it comes to Michigan and then say, historically, look at their postseason record. And that's what just irks me about them and how much love and dap they get and this and that around the Big Ten, because they've done nothing. I mean, I'll go back and say they've won half a national title since the Great Depression.
Correct.
But yet they the Big Ten Network, Fox, all these people, they probably run by Michigan people, who knows, but they act like they hung the moon, and it's always been like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just force of habit, right? Like there are certain brands that through a combination of their history and just hearing their name repeated over and over and over again, you get drummed into your head, and Michigan's one of them. And it's especially bad inside the conference because other than Ohio State and Michigan, before Penn State got here, I mean, there wasn't another relevant team.
Yeah, but think about this.
The Big Two and the Little Eight.
We're Syracuse to what Penn State was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Get there every once in a while, get a couple. I mean, you can't say they're West Virginia because they never beat us. Maryland never beat us. I mean, Pitt maybe. We had a good rivalry with them, but we've turned into that team. That the other teams are just dominant in the league, and then you have animosity and hate towards them, obviously, a.k.a. Michigan right now, because they have gone out and they've gotten it done, and then they're where we used to be in the 80s and 90s. Does that sound okay? You understand what I'm saying?
I think it's probably overstating their – I mean, don't forget, they were on the ropes 2 years ago.
I know, and they came back, and he built them, and he went back to the drawing board and said, okay, we got to get back to Michigan football is what he said.
I will say this, and I don't want to talk anymore about Michigan, but I do think this is worth pointing out just in the bigger context of where is Penn State vis-a-vis the other top teams in the Big Ten East. Jim Harbaugh has actually done a pretty good job coaching at Michigan overall while he's been there. There have been a couple of games that, like that Michigan State game where the punt gets blocked and run back for a touchdown with no time left on the clock. Any one of about 6 different variables goes Michigan's way instead of all 6 of them going Sparty's way. We think a lot differently about Michigan. Like Iowa doesn't make that kick in 2016 or that 4th and inches play, JT Barrett. That gets called the other way. One or both of those goes the other way. We change the way we think about Michigan. So in general, he's done a good job recruiting and a pretty good job coaching up the talent, but they have repeatedly fallen short up to last season. So now we'll see. We'll see how this year goes.
What did they do last season? In the Big Ten, you're saying?
I'm saying they went to the playoffs.
They haven't done anything in the national level in – that's just their history. So, yes, I understand what you're saying. Now, the next question is, I know it's a month away, or 4 weeks away, actually, but Who do you got? Who do you?
Ohio
After
State.
seeing both of those, you think Ohio State's going to beat?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why?
Because
The talent on the field?
Because they are going to be as up at kickoff as they got to when it was the fourth quarter, and they were like, "Oh, hey guys, time to take it serious now."
I'm with you. I mean, yeah, I got you. I understand that Ohio State is that good, but it's just like, okay, but we're going to see. But then again, we did see a Michigan team that was built like a Big Ten team, aka last year.
There were a lot of
go
Ohio
down
State
and play
fans.
Georgia and was just absolutely embarrassed in the playoff game. And that Ohio State might do that to them this year.
There were a lot of Ohio State fans in Beaver Stadium on Saturday, more than I would like to see. Frankly, if I were going to give Pat Kraft one piece of advice, I would say, we have the technology now to know who's selling their tickets to opposing team fans. I would just say, hey, you want to sell your seat to an Ohio State fan? Like, make as much money as you can off it this year, because you will never buy season tickets from Penn State again.
That's their right to. I don't care who buys my tickets.
There's 107 seats. It's nobody's right.
Tickets,
and it's Penn State's right to say we're not going to sell them to you.
Why?
Because I don't want to be sitting around a bunch of Ohio State fans.
But it doesn't. I'm not trying to
bring
bust your balls.
on big brother.
No,
bring them on.
Saying, well, we had Big Brother. We'd have freaking internet connection at the stadium.
Yeah,
Jesus.
fair enough. Okay, anyway, I don't want to have that conversation.
No, what you really feel as if it's?
No, I don't. It just pisses me off.
Now, what they did last year, I can agree with, and that was that people had just tickets, and they were actually a ticket sales company. But
look, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I was just kidding. Anyway, I don't actually want them to do that, but. There were a lot of Ohio State fans, and they were actually generally pretty tolerable. I dislike Ohio State fans way less than I dislike Michigan fans. Most Michigan fans are just arrogant and obnoxious.
They won't talk to you. Yeah. Ohio State fans will talk to you.
They're amiable, whatever. And look, they knew they're going to win that game.
Yes.
And so they're all celebrating at the end of the fourth quarter, and I was standing up to let some people out of my aisle because, of course, the Penn State fans were filing out early, as well they should after that debacle of a fourth quarter.
Jesus.
And I looked over at one of the Ohio State fans, and he was all happy, and I said, hey, try not to embarrass the conference like you guys do every year. And the poor guy looked like I just kicked his puppy because he knew. I mean, they know, right? They know that they're, they dominate the Big Ten and then lose by like 75 to whatever SEC team they play in the playoffs.
Because they're built like an SEC team.
They are built like an SEC team in the same way Penn State is built like Ohio State.
Yeah, they're a step behind.
Yeah, right. Okay, so going back to why I don't feel terrible about the whole thing. The Michigan result bothered me so much because we looked unprepared and we just got our teeth kicked in.
Yep.
That really bothered me. We fought against Ohio State.
But we do that every year.
Well,
because we match up well with them.
We do, but I'm not trying to. Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm making excuses for moral victory.
You made a good point in saying we're built to beat Ohio State. You're right.
I thought the team was going to be 7-5 this year. I had totally lost faith in this coaching staff's ability to get this team over in close games, and so far, so good. We've beaten every team that we were supposed to beat. We were supposed to lose to Michigan and Ohio State, and we did. And against Ohio State, we made it look respectable. And the offensive line actually wasn't a total disaster for the entire game. Like, there are a bunch of things that need to get improved, but if you don't believe there have been noticeable signs of improvement along the offensive line all season and in general, from where we have been the last couple of seasons, you're nuts. And so now what is laid out in front of us is a chance to, with our best two recruiting classes since James Franklin has gotten here, stacked back-to-back, win out the remainder of our schedule, finish with 10 regular season wins.
Go to the Orange Bowl.
And go to a New Year's Six Bowl. There's even a small chance.
Are we saying New Year's Six because we're expecting two Big Ten teams to go to the playoff? Is that how we're talking?
No, I mean, So there is even an off chance. Now, this is one of these things where like a bunch of different things have to happen.
I got you. I love you. You're a lot smarter with the scenarios than I am.
Penn State could go to the Rose Bowl if two Big Ten teams were to make the playoff.
Okay. So you're saying if we go to the Orange Bowl, we're in a New Year's Six Bowl if only one of them go.
Yeah. So what would happen is, let's say, okay, let's the winner of Penn State or winner of Ohio State, Michigan wins the Big Ten and goes to the playoff. Yep. If the loser doesn't go to the playoff, which is a possibility, but let's say the loser doesn't go to the playoff, they go to the Rose Bowl, And then you've got 10-2 Penn State versus, a 10-2 or a 9-3 Illinois game.
Going right down the same effing scenario we go through every year. So right now, I'm asking you right now, this very, very well could happen. An SEC team that does not play in the SEC title game.
Correct.
AKA, because Georgia and Tennessee are in the East, right?
Yes.
So they have to play.
Yep.
Okay, that loser is going to have one loss, does not go. So it's just like the loser of the Michigan State-Ohio State game. Is that one loss to a top 4 team better than an undefeated TCU team?
I think so.
I know it is, but it's like,
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I think you can make a credible argument. I'm not saying this is the argument I would make, but you could make a credible argument for 3 SEC teams under certain conditions.
I'm with you on that, but I'm not.
Georgia beats Tennessee, and Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game, and they all win the rest of their games.
Alabama's in undefeated.
Alabama has a loss to Tennessee.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a round-robin loss. They all have one loss. And you can say, okay, Georgia has a win over Tennessee, who is Alabama's only loss, and Tennessee maybe has the best win of anyone in the country this year. And their only loss is to Georgia, who would have then beaten Alabama in that scenario. Again, I'm not saying that's what I think
undefeated
is
right now.
Or should happen.
So they could lose
that's a good argument.
to Georgia.
Correct.
Georgia loses to Alabama.
Yep.
They all have one loss. Oh, God almighty. I'm telling you, it sucks.
And then you have you could potentially have 2 undefeated teams in Clemson and
it gives
TCU.
Us shit to talk about, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, that's the idea, right? I think the Pac-12 is out. I don't think there's any chance for a Pac-12 champ to get in unless there's total chaos.
UCLA lost the game, right?
Correct.
They lost.
Every Pac team has one loss. That Pac-12 team has one loss. So it's Oregon,
so they're going to be a one-loss
UCLA,
Pac-12
and
team coming out of the Pac-12. That's not going to happen.
No.
But an undefeated TCU team, are they in the Big 12?
They are.
Okay. So that leads
who have they beaten, right?
I understand. Yeah, I got
Clemson
you.
has the same problem
as Oklahoma every freaking year. But what the F was Oklahoma State doing this week?
Unbelievable. Right?
Just practice?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I understand they were starting a new quarterback, but
Christ, that was horrible.
Yeah.
By the way, my wife hates you for bringing the word motto into my world. Because that's all. Motto. I say it all the time, right? Dude. So I again, it just goes back into the same predicament where you are in every year.
No, but I think it's a little bit different
even
for 2 reasons.
Okay, what if we have 12 teams? We're still going to have the 13 to 14 teams bitching and complaining because they didn't get in.
Right.
So I guess it's just going to happen.
I think 12 is actually probably too many.
No,
I think I'd rather see 8 than 12. I mean,
4 buys.
We can barely get. That's I like that. I like that we'll have the playoff home games. Other than that, I mean, we can barely get 4 teams that are qualified to go to the postseason. Tripling that number, I don't think creates better football, but for the excuse to have a playoff atmosphere on a college campus, I'm all for that.
What am I happy about? What am I looking forward to in that scenario?
Not having to sit in the cold during the game.
No. I want the cold.
You want the SEC team to come
I want
north.
the Southern and West Coast teams
to
come play up north because we got to go down there all the damn time.
Yep.
Come deal with our weather.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I can't wait to see a Bill O'Brien coached Auburn team coming up north.
That's a joke, you understand, right?
Did that happen?
No, that was a joke by an Auburn fan or an Alabama fan because Alabama fans hate Bill O'Brien.
I understand that, but that didn't happen. Jesus.
No, that was an internet hoax.
Oh, Christ. Mrs. O'Brien, I apologize for sending you that email then, congratulating Bill.
Did you really?
I did.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, it was convincing, man. You gotta double check everything you see on the internet.
I did almost. Tried.
Okay.
Almost. I tried almost.
So that's funny that you sent his wife an email.
Just say congrats, and that's all I say. Congrats.
She's probably like, what?
What did I do now? What did that idiot do now? Unbelievable.
Okay, so back to Penn State.
Yes. Are you okay with where we're at right now?
I am.
Not because of where we are as compared to the preseason. I think the target moved as the season went on.
It did, which is reasonable. Yeah. But I split the difference between where I was at the beginning of the season and where the target has moved to. And now I look at it and I say, okay, man, like for the first time since James has gotten here, I want to get to the end of the regular season and not have one game that I end shaking my head saying, how in the name of God did we lose that game with the talent we have on the roster? And we got a chance to do it. We got a chance to win these 4.
Yep.
And play in a great bowl game and carry a lot of momentum in the next season.
I'm out. If we don't win these 4, like
unbelievable. Yeah,
yes.
There's no excuse for it.
No excuse to lose a game of these 4.
Yeah, I will go nuclear.
0 excuse to lose any of these 4 games.
100%.
Okay, before I forget it, we go on to the Eagles throttling of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they actually the destruction of the Steelers organization. Have I not? You have heard me and Brandon talk about the Michigan tunnel for how long? How long have I known you? 5-10 years. Yep. I have been telling people. I said that it's an issue. It is a freaking problem. It pisses me off how they come running across your sideline and they chirp. As much as Jimmy Harbaugh wants to say his guys are angels and they don't chirp.
Oh, 100%.
That's complete bullshit. They run behind you. They make you run into the locker room across from their hall. They sit there and they you're going through 2 doors. And they're expecting 100 guys to run through 2 doors in like 3 seconds because their team has to get up there. So their team has to wait for our team to get into the locker room. And they sit there and chirp, 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 chirp. Yada, yeah, you can't do this, yada, 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 all this, all that. And I could not believe, even my Michigan friend guy was like, oh, man, this is only the 100 years of this stadium. There's never been an incident there. I'm like, you're crazy. You're crazy.
I mean, nothing like you saw this weekend.
Oh, that was complete assault. That was. I have lost every ounce for Mel Tucker.
Can you imagine being a Michigan State fan right now after all the money they gave him? Remember, you and I were both saying at the end of the season last year, just be careful.
Yep.
Holy God. I understand the mark. You're trying to keep the guy from going to LSU or whatever, but
sound familiar?
Yeah. But James did something. James had a track record. Yes. Absolutely.
Mel Tucker has 1 year.
And a better track record than he gets credit for widely.
Was that his first year?
Not just was it his first year, but it was a roster built largely on transfers.
Not from him. Yeah. Roster built from D'Antonio's players and a lot of transfer guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's you
predominantly transfers.
Yeah, you can't live and die with transfer portal.
So
guys.
I don't know if they just
that team has 3 or 4 losses without Kenneth Walker last year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got Penn State fans who are upset about Franklin's contract. I mean, I cannot imagine being a Sparty fan right now, sawing what you saw performance this year so far, and then to back it up with that just complete 2 different. I was mad
about lack of discipline when one of our guys threw a half-eaten Uncrustables across the tunnel. Like, did you? I am sure have seen the video of what looks like a Michigan State player just trying to cave a guy's skull in using his helmet
with German, right? The kid, because 2 guys got assaulted. Michigan.
Yes.
One guy got facial broken bones in his face.
And I think he was the one who was coming off a torn ACL, right?
Jesus Christ. It's so just unbelievable. Like, that is what is the wrong. And they suspend 4 guys and they show the video and there's 12 guys involved in this.
Yeah. It's not it's not excusing any of the behavior, but to your point, you create the environment where that's going to happen.
Oh, well, yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
They got to they're going to partition that. I mean, that's the problem. It honest to God, as a former player,
do you know why it's going to happen now?
It just pissed me off that they put ropes up on your sideline and hold you off because here comes Michigan. Here comes Michigan. I don't effing care who the hell is coming through that freaking tunnel. I can't wait to rip I'm making mad. I hate it. They run right through your sideline.
But do you know why they're going to finally fix it now?
What?
Because the lawyers are going to get
there's lawsuits involved. Yep. Imagine that. The only people who win in a lawsuit, the lawyers.
Okay. All right. We're going to hop to a break. On the other side, sorry to all the Steelers fans, but we are going to talk about the game from this past weekend.
You sure you want to talk about it?
Yep.
Okay.
To Line Country Kia, Goon and Ironhead Show. We'll be right back.
With no.
Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
New Trail Brewing Company proudly crafts their beers right here in central Pennsylvania. Brewed with only the best possible ingredients, New Trail produces a variety of year-round brands as well as weekly experimental recipes. New Trail Broken Heels is Pennsylvania's favorite local hazy IPA. This beer is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is perfect for a pregame tailgate all the way through the victory celebration.
What's the best mid-size pickup? Tacoma. What's the #1 mid-size truck in resale value? Tacoma. Want to get great gas mileage, 4 doors, and 4-wheel drive? Tacoma. Sioka Toyota of Williamsport has over 25 available right now. You can lease a brand new, never-driven Toyota Tacoma for just $379 a month. That's 30 months, $3,000 cash or trade, 10,000 miles a year. This is while supplies last. Buy yours or reserve yours today and see the Sioka difference. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show, coming to you live from State College's Quaker Steak and Lube.
Hello. I was just telling Chris about I was talking to Rachel, our beautiful bartender over here, so she waited on us. We come here Friday night for home games, and of course, it was a Philly-laden bar at midnight, still at midnight.
That was brutal, by the way, with the lots opening at 6 a.m. That was a tough one. So that was a tough one.
I'll get into that, my sleep pattern this past weekend, but she called me on Saturday. She's like, there's 10 people here who are asking where you all are at. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm exhausted from last night, and I'm half in the bag here from being at the tailgate at 6 o'clock in the morning. And she goes, well, they were just talking about how there's not a real environment, not a real crazy environment here like there was last night. I mean, I'm telling you right now, there was 120 people here, and obviously the back room where we party, and then and then in the bar here, everybody is popping on the bar. Let's go! I mean, it was this absolute mayhem in here.
Yeah, it was great.
As they come back during the game and this and that, and just it was so much fun. We had so much fun watching that game, and it's obviously. And then you watch the game on Saturday, it was just like, you didn't feel the pressure to win on Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saturday was like,
I thought you were talking about the Penn State game, but yes.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, when you're on the road, your first 2 games, you're playing with house money when you go in up 1.
Absolutely. So I get home at 1. My one old teammate got here a little bit late, so we stayed up and had a couple more beers at the night. And I went to bed at 2:30 in the morning with Booch.
Yeah.
Brutal. And then my alarm was set for 4:30 in the morning because we were leaving my parking lot at 5:30 a.m.
Yes, sir.
So I had to call, shower, rally the troops and all around the house and all that stuff, wake up and get my coffee, get my shower, get the people up around my house, pack my cooler, and get out in the parking lot. We were in the lot at 6:02 a.m. I was on 2 hours of sleep.
Good man.
Yeah, and we were the third people in our lot.
Yeah, we managed a little bit later till we actually got in, but it was still pitch black out when we set the tent up, which is great. Watch the sun come up over Mount Nittany.
Yes, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was waiting for the damn thing. I'm like, let's go.
It's cold,
it
was pretty cold. It was pretty cold.
And I had people with me who had they're like, I'm so warm and this and that. I'm like, turtlenecks and this and that. I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you, it's as cold as it's going to be right now because in 4 hours, you're going to be hot. And sure as hell, 4 hours later, there's people sitting there sweating in their Under Armour cold gear.
Yeah, you had to watch the weather. We had to watch the weather and plan accordingly.
I got to tell you what I cooked on Saturday.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, God.
It's the good stuff.
Yes. So we start off with our 4 pounds of thick-cut bacon, 6 pounds of pork roll, 5 pounds of scrapple. I had about 25 hash browns that go great on the flat top grill. With put them right in that bacon grease and the pork roll grease.
Yes.
Maple breakfast patties, and I had some stuff from my wife's hometown. There's a butcher up there, and they have a blueberry stuffed maple sausage. We had that ripped up on the grill. I mean, people went into the game and they were like stuffed. And that was just pregame. That was just a breakfast. So, post-game was about 8 pounds of fajitas. I had some Greek sausage links. I had a dozen of those Greek sausage links, about 75 hot dogs, 4 dozen hot and mild sausages. All I did was grill on Saturday. I showed my wife my hands on Sunday. She said, Jesus, they're all like burnt from all the bubbles popping up and all that stuff. So, we never stopped cooking all day, like literally all day. We had, and then other buddy bought up, his wife made sausage and peppers, and it was easily 10 pounds of that. And we had that in the fajitas, and then it was just unbelievable, the amount of food that was cooked this past weekend.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God. I literally had 2 full coolers just full of food, and everything went. Everything. And then it was like, okay, this game was over. We were catching the 3:30 game, and then it was like, all right, the sun's going down. I know where this is going to go. I'm getting the hell out of here. So packed up and this and that, headed home, watched the Phillies. Wasn't as happy with that game, but it was just nice. I did catch a nap. Did you get a nap before the game?
Before the no.
You powered through?
I did.
Ooh.
I did. But then I went to bed early.
After the game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the game ended. I mean, I don't think the 9th inning, the third out was done before half the party I was at my house was.
Yeah.
We were already in bed.
That Schwarber at bat really kind of did me in. I think after that, I was like, okay, this is not going to be our night.
How in the hell did they make that call?
I
mean, he was even like, what? You want me to run?
Yeah. Yeah.
It looked like me when they tell me to run. I'm like, no.
Yeah. And then the next pitch is what, like a foot short? I mean, brutal. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, as you're watching us live here, if you're tuned in live, we are about 22 minutes away from the NFL trade deadline. So still keeping an eye out to see if Howie's going to pull any last minute magic tricks.
Would you do it? Kamara for their return of their first round pick?
Not in a million years.
I'm with you.
Yeah, good. Absolutely not.
We're on the same page then.
I really don't think running back is even the position that needs to be addressed. I think safety depth is really, if they're going to make another move, that's where Philly needs to look. But for the Steelers fans in our audience, I think probably welcome news for some Steelers fans who I've talked to who are not the biggest Chase Claypool fans in the world.
Correct.
He is he's out of town.
He gone.
Yeah, he has returned a second-round pick to the Steelers, and he is now a Chicago Bear because the Bears have picks to spare. They traded Roquan Smith. They traded Robert Quinn to the Eagles. So their 2023 draft stockpile was, already overflowing. So they could more than afford to give up a second-round pick. And if they want to get any kind of return on the first they invested in Justin Fields, they have got to get him some better receivers. So we'll see. I mean, they've got a guy who clearly has the ability in Claypool, but if I'm a young organization who's trying to bring up a second, third-year quarterback, that's not the guy I want to bring in. You know what I'm saying?
When the guy's on record is saying everything I do is for my brand, I don't care about winning or losing. It's for my brand. I mean, how in the hell –
if he doesn't care about winning or losing, the Chicago Bears is a perfect organization for him.
How did he get through the Pittsburgh Steelers draft
eval?
Yeah.
I mean,
hey, listen, I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm not a Steelers fan. You know what I mean? But I respect the living hell out of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization.
Yes. Do you know what I'm a big fan of? You know how much I love the draft,
that
right?
It never fit. I just don't. It was not a fit for them.
You know how much I love the draft.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of the way, through most of this century, the Steelers front office has conducted their drafting. And if you look over the last few years, you know what it kind of reminds me of? Because they've had the same people, not just head coach, but a lot of the same folks in charge for a long time. Do you remember the end of the Andy Reid era? When they started cutting corners from the way they used to do things, like it was finally like epitomized by making Juan Castillo the offensive line coach, the new defensive coordinator.
How about that?
But even in the draft, you would see them pass over a lineman who they would have taken in previous years. They never tried to take too many big swings in free agency. And the dream team year, they're bringing in all these free agents. You get away from the formula that makes you a consistent winner because you haven't gotten there in a while. You
try to change it up.
Yeah, and you're trying to just tweak the formula, and you start to cut corners. I feel like the Steelers right now. I'll be interested to hear what Ironhead has to say on Thursday about all this, about the game, about the trades and the moves. I just feel like the Steelers have made taken some uncharacteristic swings on the personnel side over the last few years. And to me, Claypool's a good example.
I got one for you. I don't know the man's name, but the wide receivers coach that died a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
Was he around when they drafted Claypool?
I don't think so.
I think that was the guy who was doing evaluations and then understanding.
Very possible.
He was the guy because they were just pumping out wide receivers after like home runs after home runs after home runs.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, Juju, they got rid of him, but I always thought he was a very serviceable player.
They got his best pro years out of him. That's the thing. I mean, Pittsburgh has also been great at knowing when to cut ties with a player also.
And they usually guilt them into saying, don't go anywhere else, retire a Pittsburgh Steeler, don't come back and hurt us. But, I wonder how much that guy, that wide receiver coach, and I'm embarrassed I don't know his name in saying that, but I don't think that he was on board when they drafted Claypool because Claypool was just not a Steelers type of player. But they also drafted Antonio Brown under his watch, so I don't know. But was Antonio Brown always crazy like this? And it was just hidden for a long time. I hear
conflicting reports about that, and I haven't followed it closely enough to know. I haven't followed, I'm not down to that granular level with the Steelers. I know a lot of Steelers fans, and obviously there's a ton of coverage around here. So I know a fair amount, but I don't follow them in the same depth that I do the Eagles.
Who was the big wide receiver when AB was young? It wasn't Hines Ward. He wasn't never the super goat. Was it Plexico?
No,
he was after Plexico.
Already.
There was somebody in between who went off on free agency, and you know what? And then the money that they were earmarking for him went to AB, and there's actually documented, there's articles written that was the day that Antonio Brown changed, when he got money. And he went out in the field and he was fighting with coaches and fighting with other players and stuff like that. So I wonder who in the hell, I forget who that receiver was. But whatever. I mean, that was the day. But I mean, just how they kept Antonio Brown from not being crazy his whole career was amazing. But that's a testament to Tomlin.
Yep.
That was the other internet. I did not fall for that internet rumor when they said they were going to get rid of Tomlin and hire Matt Canada. And I was like, there's no way that could be true. So
no, I think if anything, Matt Canada's job security is on very thin ice right now.
Yeah.
I know there were at least a few Steelers fans who were not going to be devastated if Philly took them behind the woodshed on Sunday because that might be, a little accelerant on the fire for getting rid of Canada, who is very, very unpopular among the Steelers fans. I may also, Goon, have to eat crow on their first-round pick from 2 years ago. I thought it was a smart move for them to take Najee Harris, and brutal.
Did you see Ross's
brutal tweet? The comparison between
Ross
and,
said this is a running back who doesn't want to play running back, and he was supposed to chip at the end. He totally made a very, very, very lackadaisical effort to chip the tight or chip the tackle's end.
Yeah,
and then he went out, and then it was in the it was like a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 2 that he needed the first down, and he caught the pass in the outside, and then made 2 different moves, and just the moves were just hopping around, and then he fell to the ground. So there's a player who's not hungry and this and that. So I can see where they're starting to worry about that. I know that people were worried about that from the start with him.
So Bill Parcells had that long-standing theory that the shelf life for an NFL coach was no more than a decade with an organization. Like once you're there for 10 years,
we saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean there are some exceptions probably, but
we saw it firsthand with Andy, and Andy he wore it. It was over.
And
honestly,
his
time in Philadelphia was done.
The same thing might be true of Pete Carroll in Seattle. I'm just thinking about guys who have been there longer than 10 years.
Maybe Russell Wilson was the problem.
I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Seattle's balling right now.
If you just start to wonder, right? Even an organization that has had unparalleled stability like Pittsburgh, and even the amount of success that Tomlin has had, Are you starting to cut a few corners? Is everybody starting to get a little too comfortable? Is everyone starting to tune you out a little bit? Those are the questions I would be asking if I was a Steelers fan at this point. Because,
so
as you
made
say,
that call, huh?
I was asking all those same questions at the end of the Andy Reid era. I am not, and nor have I ever been an Andy Reid hater.
No.
But when he got fired, I was
the
well
right
on board
time.
that it was time. Absolutely.
The inmates were running the asylum. LaShawn and Deshaun they knew what they could get away with. It was like the guy who knew his parents. I mean, he knew he could get away with stuff with the kid growing up who just got to keep away from my father. My mom doesn't care, but my father does. And it was just like sneaky stuff, and they knew what they could get away with Andy, and they knew what the punishments were going to be, yada yada yada. And it might be time, I don't know, but that's not what the Steelers do.
Yeah,
that's
and of all the things that I would do to try to fix the Steelers, looking at a coaching change would not be high on the list.
No, I don't think that at all.
I think what is happening to Pittsburgh right now, and we'll see what
you can't be competitive. You can't be. It's just like Andy Reid. It's the same damn thing, and it's just like you can't be playing for all these conference titles and Super Bowls and this and that, and then like you're drafting 30th and 31st and 32nd every year. It's like it's tough to build that way, and you've never been a big free agent team. The fact that Tomlin has never had a losing season is damn impressive.
Yeah. Now, if they finish with more wins or more losses than wins this year, the outcry will get loud very quickly that stat is in fact that Ben Roethlisberger never had a winning or a losing season.
Well, I'm turning into Belichick Brady thing now. Was it Big Ben keeping the team together or Tomlin?
It's a fair observation to go all the way back to year one of Big Ben and say that guy never had a losing season. And so his career overlaps the entirety of Mike Tomlin's time in Pittsburgh. But again, how much do you learn from that? Like, yes, you take a Hall of Fame quarterback off a team in an era where the quarterback's never been more important, and his salary has been eating up a huge part of the salary cap. Like, yeah, of course, like most times the team's going to take a huge step back. That's not necessarily a reflection on the head coach, right? So it just, you can only take so much from it.
Do you think two guys sitting in Philadelphia Philly gear would talk this much about the Pittsburgh Steelers in an hour?
I am trying to be fair to the fact that I know a lot of the folks in the audience are Steelers fans.
Absolutely.
And I respect the organization, and, we've gotten a chance to see them up close. And, the Philly game this weekend went exactly the way I expected it to, because I wore the stat out that the home teams won every matchup between the Steelers and Eagles since the turn of the century. Matchup-wise, Philly was not a good matchup for Pittsburgh. And they are in a situation right now where they tried to build around the last couple years of Ben and take one more shot. And so the way they structured their salary cap, the way they made their personnel moves, it was all built around that. And they had a couple of misses in the draft. And so now they're in a situation where they're trying to break in a rookie quarterback. The first round running back they selected seems like he may not be panning out for them, and their offensive line is bad.
I heard a bad name when it came to Najee the other day.
Trent Richardson.
Yeah, I heard that come out.
If you compare their stats side by side, it's going around Twitter. This graphic comparing them side by side, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Got paid. They got paid. They're done. Man. By the way, the Steelers haven't won in Philadelphia since '65.
Wow, is it that long?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
But enough of that. What do you got this week, Iron Booch?
Well,
big recovery weekend here.
This is going to be
exactly what you
crazy
need going
Thursday
out there.
night.
I know, right?
You get a double screen it. You got to get like an iPad or something because
I got two TVs in the house.
Yeah, but do you have
the
app on them or whatever? The Amazon app? Because remember, the Eagles aren't on TV.
I have Roku.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And the one.
Okay.
I have one Roku, and then I have my regular
go.
internet or my whatever, Infinity. But in Philadelphia, it's on Fox no matter what. Both games.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the local stations pick up the games. They don't put them on Amazon, I don't think.
I didn't know
NFL, that. I think the NFL.
You can get the game on the local station, even if it's on Amazon.
But I think it's on Fox, and they're both on Fox, if that's the case.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well, okay. So
what are you going to do?
Well, It's going to be very easy for me because I get too nervous watching playoff baseball games. I can't watch the whole thing.
I love it.
I got to dip in and out.
Every pitch means something. That's what's the best.
I know. I can't take it. So this is going to be perfect. Now when I'm watching the Phillies and I start to get a little too nervous, I can just click over to the Eagles.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
I got to show you my setup here, Bubba.
Okay. So do you want to talk a little bit about the Phillies? Okay, there you go. Very good.
Nice setup, right, buddy? Oh, hey, moonshine.
Can you talk a little Phillies?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I am of the ilk that the day off is great for the Phillies.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it helps them more. I mean, they've played a lot more. I mean, a couple more games than not many more games, but look at look at that. Oh Lord, how well they play at home, and they're like the winning percentage at home. I mean, it's
Citizens Bank Ballpark open. The
play.
Phillies have the best home winning percentage in Citizens Bank Ballpark of any team in the majors right now.
Correct. 21-9, I believe.
Yeah, it's a great environment. This is a fun team to watch. They are built like a team that can win in the postseason. So, for as strong a squad as Houston's got, I don't get the fixation on, this team only won 88 games. Well, look, first of all,
the Braves won 87 last year.
None of that. Like wild card teams with unimpressive regular season records have been getting into the postseason and winning championships for like a long time. Yep. All right. Philly fans know it well because the 1980 Raiders.
Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. Right. So it happens. Right. The Steelers, I seem to recall, in 2005, Super Bowl champions, also finished the regular season 9-7. Right. You remember the year the 8th seeded Los Angeles Kings won the Stanley Cup? Like, it happens. It happens sometimes. I don't understand what the big deal is. And if you go back to June 1st, after, the shakeup of the coaching change starts to settle in, the Phillies have the third best winning percentage in major leagues. So it is and has been a good team.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the trades made today.
You gonna give the Goon some love here for the telling you 3 months ago that this team can hit. If they start hitting, they can play with any team in baseball, and they can win the World Series and make a run at it.
Yeah, you and Mike the Mailman have been singing the same song for months.
They can hit. That's the thing.
Yep.
They got 2 hot pitchers on top of that, but it doesn't matter. If you can, Harper going on 4 on Saturday was not good, obviously. There was no clutch hitting there on Saturday night.
Which I am fine with because I'd rather everyone have an off night all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean
you're playing with house money. If everyone's gonna have Wheeler had an off night. Honestly, Nola was a little off, but fine. Wheeler had an off night. The whole lineup was just not quite right. Perfect. Good. Just get it all out of your system at one time.
And they just hit in the double play after double play. It was like, okay, let's pop one here, let's pop one here, let's pop one here. And then you got to give Houston credit. They're, as we used to say in, ever tell you when our coaches used to give us shit when we were playing on game film? Well, that guy beat you. Like, they're on scholarship too, man. I mean, we're not playing against like the little sisters of the poor over here. I mean, the Houston Astros aren't going to sit there and lay down. I mean, they've been down this road a couple damn times. So, and their crowd was crazy.
Yeah, they're all right.
I mean, it was awesome. I love that. I love the environment. I can guarantee you, I'm actually pissed off because I really wanted to see Halloween last night at the bank. I mean, can just imagine the idiots down there. Some of the outfits we would have seen.
It would have been pretty wild. Yeah.
And then look at the weather today. It's absolutely beautiful. They made the right call. It was the right call. It was
for sure. For sure, it would have been ludicrous to play that game last night. It took too long to cancel.
Yeah, a lot of my friends and people that went down to the game, they were like, "Well, you could have said this like 3 hours ago." I mean,
honestly,
what if you were coming down from your home, where you grew up? You drove down an hour and a half to get down there.
I know. So we have a family friend who won the ticket lottery.
Oh, nice.
And drove from State College to Philly.
You had to go because it was like, all right, they're playing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Did you put in?
I did, but
Did you get the email?
I did. Yes, yes.
I was
the worst worded
yes.
email of all time.
Yes, that was great.
Congratulations, Chris. You've just won the Philadelphia Phillies World Series ticket lottery. That's what I would be saying to you if you hadn't been one of the millions of entrants who did
You're
not
one of
win
75 million losers.
Yeah.
Did they give a number of how many people actually got tickets out of that lottery?
I think it was 20,000.
So that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking there was 5,000 tickets. No, that's pretty good though. I love it's fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to tonight.
It's great. It's an awesome time to be a Philadelphia fan, and this is a great team to root for.
We don't talk about
I was talking about the Eagles, of course.
And then the Phillies.
I was talking about the
Penn
Flyers
State,
not being the worst team in
Flyers,
hockey so far.
Phillies, the Sixers.
The biggest surprise to me.
You're Mr. Sixers fan. Have they won a game yet?
A couple. Not too many.
There we go. All right. There we go, guys. Way to go.
I think the plan is to win just enough so that you're not totally out of it. And
go to the playoffs and turn it on?
Well, win just enough so that you don't put yourself mathematically out of the race as the season goes on, but not enough so that the organization gets frustrated, fires Doc Rivers, and promotes Sam Cassell, a la firing Joe Girardi and promoting Rob Thompson. That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
so the Sixers got plenty
Philly
of time.
Rob is turning into a cult hero in Philadelphia. An absolute cult classic, like a hero, like Charlie, because Charlie got shit on for years. People abused Charlie. I mean, I did. I was definitely that one. I was in the, oh God, here comes Uncle Elmer Fudd out to the mound.
I know. I thought he was a good. I thought he was a good hire when we got him. I mean, I didn't know
at the time, but when things weren't working out for the first few years, it got to be like, all right, I'm sick and tired of listening to Elmer Fudd talk about, the pitching sucks, the defense sucks, but he talks about hitting all the time. That's what he was. He was a hitting coach. Well, of course you love Charlie. I love Charlie now too. But there were times where I was like, all right, he's got to go. And then he's also the reason why I'm disgusted. Why do Major League managers still have to wear uniforms? Why?
It's one of the weirdest things.
Dumbest
thing.
It's
bizarre. It is
no
bizarre.
other sport. Nowhere. No other sport. Cricket, Australian football, soccer, anything around this world. Irish hurling. The coaches are not wearing uniforms. Why in the hell in baseball do they have to wear uniforms?
Hurling is Scottish, is it not?
It's Irish. Irish hurling.
Okay. It's fun to watch.
It's nasty, dude.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I went to my niece's Philadelphia game last week down at Elizabethtown. I saw my niece play. She plays for Rowan. She's an All-American down there.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm like, because I know that guys played in Europe, and my sister was telling me that, it's how nasty it is and stuff like that when you got dudes playing that sport with the hitting and the speed of the hitting and stuff like that. It's crazy to even think about. So I YouTubed some stuff the other day, and I was like,
brutal,
holy Christ, man! Like guys walking up with half their ear and eyeball hanging out of their head, and pretty impressive. But
minute 22 left, by the way, the trading deadline. Still waiting to see if the Eagles make a move. The Buffalo Bills have added Nyheim Hines from the Colts, which is a big pickup for them.
Yeah. They needed a running back because I was out of it last night, and it was some talking head was on TV saying the Buffalo Bills are going to run no problem. They can go out and destroy people in the first half and in the third quarter, but they still don't know how to run the ball. You can't be passing the ball around in the fourth quarter. You can let teams hang around if the clock is stopping. They needed to get a run game, so that's a hell of a pickup for them right there.
Yeah, and it's probably a better move in terms of not having to give up as much as for a Christian McCaffrey or some of the other bigger name guys who got thrown around there.
Yeah, so
we'll see if Howie's got anything left here in any more tricks in the bag in the last 30 seconds. That's the one I was like, that's just
ridiculous to think about. Just the thought of giving Alvin Kamara for a first-round pick, which we have two. That's fine. The Eagles have two. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
but you don't trade a first-round pick for a running back. Oh, he's an all-pro. I get it.
I
have no problem. The running back by committee is doing just fine with the Eagles right now.
Do not care.
By
not
the way,
even close.
How good is that offensive line?
Terrific. That's how you win.
You watch that game
along the line
Sunday.
of scrimmage.
You watch that game on Sunday. That game came down to two things. The ability for the Philadelphia Eagles to get the defensive pressure from their front four and the lack of pressure from the Steelers' front four. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know. Somebody was online trying to talk a lot of crap because the guy for the Eagles, was it Hargrave? Had like 2 or 3 sacks, but he was a former Steeler.
Correct.
Yeah, and then a bunch of his teammates liked his tweet.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, "Oh, that team's dysfunctional." Why? Because they liked their friends.
Ridiculous.
They liked their friend's tweet. They had a good game. I know it's against your team and all, but it's still your friend. That's what people are a little crazy about. That. Man.
Yeah, I thought that fake controversy.
Naeem Hines is on my fantasy team. I picked him up late 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, his value just went up.
I think it did. I mean, I think he's going to be their one, right?
Well, he'll split time. He'll split time with Singletary, but I mean, he's in a much more explosive offense now.
Absolutely.
Who would you rather have as the quarterback for your fantasy running back, Josh Allen or Sam Ellinger?
Man, that took me. I did not look it up, by the way. After they announced that Ryan was getting benched and they were going to start Ellinger, I was like, could not get it out of my head. I'm like, why is this kid? I don't remember this kid, but I know he went to Wisconsin. And then I was like, and then I heard them say Ellinger the other day. I was like, oh shit, that's right. He is Texas. I in my head, he just looked and reminded me like a system quarterback that Wisconsin would pump out. But you know what I mean? Like Darrell Bevel back in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. Those type of guys. You confused
Sam Ellinger with Brooks Bollinger.
Brooks Bollinger, yes, correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, so to wrap everything up,
Steelers, could be a hell of a Thursday.
Steelers on a long week, Eagles on a short week, Phillies in the World Series, and the Nittany Lions, baby. This is am I crazy for thinking this is the most important 4-game stretch of James Franklin's Penn State career? Because all you have to do
if he loses a game, he will
not screw it up.
If he loses
don't screw it up.
Of these 4,
yeah.
First of all, the only team that I'm really worried about would be Sparty. And after what they did to Penn State.
Don't sleep on Maryland.
That's true. They are playing very well right now. And they do have a bone up their ass about freaking Penn State all the time.
But either way, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Either one of those teams.
They lose the game, they lose half of our fan. James loses half of the fan base if they lose a game of these 4.
And he loses fan base.
Yes.
He loses fan support. He loses booster support, which is going to be critical. His hold over the recruiting class starts to become more tenuous, and you can't buy him off with NIL because you don't have booster support. Gotta be as dialed in and focused as absolutely possible. We didn't really get a chance to talk quarterback situation too much. I think the only way you buy yourself any wiggle room at all is if Drew Aller's taking the snaps
and you lose a game,
and you lose one game, that gets written off as growing pains. I'd rather have lose this game
than next year.
And yeah, people view it as an investment for the future.
I agree. And I agree with that.
I think either way, I think the expectation is you win them all. But I am excited because this is a good enough team. It's a good enough team and a disciplined enough team. And I've been talking about it all season. Great combination of locker room leadership and young athletic talent. They've proven along the line of scrimmage, especially on the O-line. They are good enough to run the table these last 4 games. And if Penn State can finish off the year with a big bowl win
and
be 11-2,
no one
with the talent
that.
In the building and talent coming in, and you're going to see an uptick in enthusiasm from the fan base. It's going to be a fun offseason. So, in my opinion, this week starts the most important 4-game stretch of James Franklin's Penn State career. That's a lot on the line.
And there was a lot of people saying that 3 weeks ago, saying, well, look at these 3 games. And see
I think these games are more important. I think these games are more important than the last 4.
So, Boach, go back to your point you made a couple weeks ago to me. Name a game that James has won that we weren't supposed to. We weren't supposed to beat Ohio State. We weren't supposed to beat Michigan. We were supposed to beat Minnesota. So it's going exactly.
You got 4 games you're supposed to win. You win them all, and you do it, and
you win them.
You turn
all.
A corner. You turn a corner. You needed to turn to put 11-11 in the rearview mirror.
But are you happy with those 11? That's where people are with those 11.
Yes.
I'm more upset with those 2
Not this year. Not this year. No.
Because we weren't expected to be that.
Because it's clearly
top 20.
like this team wasn't better than Michigan or Ohio State this year.
Correct.
But I believe that they have enough talent to be better than them in the near future. And if you can run the table and win 10 or 11 games this year, then I am going to start having more faith that we've got the right staff to develop that talent and win those games when the gap is narrower in the future. So you got to win them. This is a critical time for James and the staff.
I'm going to end it right there.
Good stuff. All right, we will be back on Thursday at 3 p.m. here at State College's Quaker Steak and Lube. The Ironhead will be back in the building, so I'm sure there will be some more Steelers talk. And God willing,
I want to talk about the Steelers.
We will be, all of us, jubilant about the
up 3-1.
Yes,
going in for the closing game.
About the potential game clincher for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I'm actually happy for the city of Houston for one reason. Because if the Phillies played 3, 4, and 5 in Philly, had a day off, and if Eagles were in Houston and the Phillies were going to go down to Houston to possibly win a World Series, and all the creatures from the Eagles fan base saying, you know what, let's go down there. We'll catch an Eagles game and we'll catch the Phillies winning the World Series. Houston may not have made it. Like they might be okay, we're just going to give up. We quit. We're done. We've been completely overrun by absolute maniacs.
Good for Philadelphia's pitching staff. Good for the municipality of Houston.
Absolutely. The weather saved you. I mean, Houston got dumped on with the weather a couple of years ago, so they got saved by the weather yesterday.
Good stuff, man.
Well, let's go. Come on.
To quote the Ironhead, until Thursday, be good,